From the day Olivia Carver entered the world, her parents knew she was unique. She had jet black hair that framed her pale face and striking hazel eyes that seemed to hold questions no one could answer. But as the years passed, it became painfully clear, Olivia could not speak. Her mother, Rachel, spent countless nights waiting for the moment her little girl would say, "Mom." Her father, Jonathan Carver, who had built a financial empire from the ground up, kept telling himself she would grow out of it. But time proved him wrong. The Carvers spared no expense. Doctors from Boston, Miami, Seattle, everywhere, ran their tests. Olivia's hearing was sharp, her vocal cords were unharmed, her brain scans revealed nothing abnormal. "There's no reason she shouldn't speak," they told the Carvers. And yet, Olivia remained silent. For Olivia, silence became her reality. She learned to write her thoughts, to draw when words failed, to use her hands to sign when she needed to be understood. But deep inside, she longed for something more. She wanted to laugh with her friends, to sing along with the music she loved, to tell her parents she loved them without ink or gestures. School was cruel. Some classmates mocked her by pretending to zip their lips when she walked by. Others ignored her because they didn't know how to include her. Teachers tried to help, but even they sometimes slipped into pitying looks that cut Olivia deeper than words ever could. She often spent her lunch breaks tucked away in a corner of the library, sketching figures and landscapes just to quiet the ache inside. At home, Jonathan tried to soften her pain with gifts. Expensive dresses, grand parties, the latest gadgets, he gave her everything money could buy. But Olivia didn't care about those things. What she wanted couldn't be bought. Rachel, though, never gave up. Each night she sat at the edge of Olivia's bed, brushing the hair from her daughter's face. "Someday, sweetheart," she whispered, "you'll find your words." Olivia would give a small smile, but in her heart she wasn't sure if her mother's hope was anything more than a dream. One stormy night when Olivia was 16, she couldn't sleep. Rain beat against the tall windows of the Carver estate, thunder growled above, and flashes of lightning lit the darkened halls. Wrapped in a blanket, she wandered through the mansion, her bare feet silent against the marble floor. Her steps carried her into the library, a cavernous room lined with books that reached the ceiling. The air smelled of aged paper and wood polish. Olivia rarely went there, it was Jonathan's retreat. But that night, something drew her in. She ran her fingers across rows of books until her hand brushed against a shelf that felt oddly loose. Frowning, she pressed it gently, and to her surprise, the panel shifted, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was a wooden box, old and carved with markings she didn't recognize. Her pulse quickened as she lifted the lid. Resting inside was a glass vial filled with a glowing liquid that shimmered faintly, as though tiny stars swirled within it. A folded piece of parchment lay beside it. With trembling hands, Olivia opened the note. The writing was elegant, the ink faded but legible. "For the one who longs for a voice, a single sip shall awaken what has been silent. But beware, every gift carries its price." Olivia's breath caught. Could this be real? It sounded like something out of a myth, a fairy tale whispered long ago. And yet, what if it wasn't? She lifted the vial. The liquid glowed brighter, reflecting in her hazel eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek. For years, she had dreamed of speaking. Of saying, "Mom." Of calling her father, "Dad." Of introducing herself in her own voice. Could this be the miracle she had prayed for? She hesitated, her hands shaking. What if it was dangerous? What if it hurt her? But then she thought of all the years spent in silence, all the loneliness, all the words locked inside. Maybe this was her only chance. Taking a deep breath, Olivia uncorked the vial. A sweet scent filled the air, like wildflowers after rain. She closed her eyes, lifted it to her lips, and took a sip. At first, nothing happened. Her heart thudded in her chest. Then warmth spread through her throat, down into her chest, wrapping around her like fire and light. She gasped, clutching her neck. A sound escaped. Her eyes widened. She tried again, pushing air through her lungs. This time, a faint word came out. Hello. Her hands flew to her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. For the first time in her life, Olivia Carver had spoken. It was fragile. It was imperfect. But it was her voice. Joy crashed over her like a wave. And yet, through her tears, she remembered the words on the parchment. Every gift carries its price. What would hers be? Olivia sat on the cold floor of the library, her whole body trembling. She touched her throat again, as if afraid the voice would vanish. Hello, she whispered once more, testing the sound. It cracked and shook, but it was real. Her tears came harder, shoulders shaking as she clutched the vial to her chest. All the years of silence, the loneliness, the ridicule, it felt as if they had been washed away in that single moment. She wanted to run upstairs and shout to her parents that she could finally speak. She wanted to wake the whole world and prove the impossible had happened. But then her eyes fell again on the parchment. Every gift carries its price. Her joy faltered. She picked up the note, running her fingers over the faded ink. What price could it mean? Her voice. Her health. Something even worse. Before she could dwell on it, she heard footsteps in the hall. Startled, Olivia shoved the vial and parchment back into the wooden box and slid the panel shut. She wiped her eyes quickly just as the door creaked open. It was her mother. Rachel peeked in, holding a candle. Olivia? What are you doing awake? Olivia opened her mouth instinctively. Her throat tightened, fear crashing in. What if it didn't work anymore? What if it was gone already? Slowly, shakily, she forced out, Mom. The candle nearly slipped from Rachel's hands. She froze, her face paling, eyes wide. Oh. Olivia? Her voice cracked, trembling. Olivia's tears came again as she whispered, Mom. I can talk. Rachel dropped the candle into its holder on the nearest table and rushed across the room, falling to her knees beside her daughter. She cupped Olivia's face with trembling hands, sobbing. Say it again, please, say it again. Mom, Olivia whispered, louder this time. Then, through the broken voice, I love you. Rachel broke. She pulled Olivia into her arms, rocking her back and forth, tears streaming down her cheeks. Oh my God. Jonathan. Jonathan, she screamed. Her voice echoed down the hallway. Within seconds, Jonathan appeared in the doorway, confused and alarmed. What's going on? Olivia turned, wiping her tears, her heart hammering in her chest. She swallowed hard, then forced the words. Dad. I can talk. Jonathan staggered back against the doorframe, stunned. His face went pale, then flushed red with disbelief. No, that's impossible. But then Olivia repeated, Dad, I can talk. I love you. Jonathan's knees nearly buckled. For a moment, the powerful millionaire who commanded boardrooms and politicians looked like a broken man, overwhelmed. He rushed forward, pulling Olivia into his arms. He held her tightly, sobbing against her hair. I prayed for this every night. Every single night, he choked out. The three of them clung together on the library floor, a family reborn. But Olivia's joy was tangled with fear. She didn't tell them about the box, the vial, the warning on the parchment. She couldn't. Not yet. The next morning, word spread quickly through the mansion. Servants whispered in shock when they heard Olivia speak. By evening, Jonathan had already contacted doctors and therapists, arranging for evaluations. We need to understand how this happened, he said firmly. If her voice came back naturally, the medical community must know. Olivia nodded, pretending to agree, but inside she was terrified. How could she explain that her voice had come from a glowing liquid hidden in a secret compartment? They would never believe her. For the first few days, life was euphoric. Olivia practiced speaking, her voice weak but growing stronger each day. She said her own name aloud over and over, marveling at the sound. She read aloud from books, sang softly in her room, even cracked jokes at the dinner table just to make her parents laugh. For the first time in her life, she felt normal. But then came the shadows. On the 5th night after drinking the liquid, Olivia woke gasping. Her chest ached, and her throat felt raw, as if she'd been screaming in her sleep. She stumbled to the bathroom, gripping the sink. Her reflection in the mirror startled her. Her eyes, once hazel, flickered faintly with golden sparks before fading back to normal. She clutched the edge of the counter, panic clawing at her chest. Was this the price? The next morning, she tried to brush it off. She smiled, laughed, and read aloud to her parents, but the memory of those glowing eyes haunted her. At school, the reactions were mixed. Some classmates were stunned, others jealous of the sudden attention she received. A few whispered that it was a trick, that she had been faking all along. Olivia ignored them, focusing instead on the joy of finally joining conversations, answering questions in class, even laughing out loud with others. For once, she wasn't invisible. But that night, the dreams began. She dreamed of a woman cloaked in shadow, whispering in a voice that echoed like thunder, "The price will be taken. Nothing is free." Olivia woke drenched in sweat, her throat burning, her body trembling. She couldn't ignore it anymore. Something was wrong. Something connected to that vial. And she knew, sooner or later, she would have to face the price of her miracle. Days passed, and Olivia's life transformed in ways she had only dreamed of. At school, teachers encouraged her to read aloud in class. Some students, the kinder ones, congratulated her. A boy from her history class even told her he liked the sound of her voice. It was soft, like music. For the first time, Olivia felt seen, not as the mute girl, but as herself. But beneath the joy, the shadows never left. Each night, the dreams returned. The woman cloaked in darkness whispered the same warning, her words growing louder, "Every gift demands its price. Yours will be paid." Olivia tried to ignore it. She told herself it was only her imagination, fears bubbling up after years of silence. But then, strange things started happening when she used her voice too much. The more she spoke, the weaker she felt. One afternoon, after reading aloud in literature class, her vision blurred, and she nearly fainted. Her hands shook violently as she gripped the edge of her desk. Her friend beside her thought she was just exhausted, but Olivia knew something deeper was wrong. That evening, she locked herself in her room and pulled the box back out of the hidden compartment. She held the parchment up to the light, reading the words again and again. They seemed heavier now, as if mocking her. Every gift carries its price. What price? She whispered to herself, her voice trembling. What are you going to take from me? But the paper had no answers. The following weekend, her parents hosted a dinner party, inviting close friends and business partners. It was the first time Olivia had been expected to participate as more than a silent observer. She dressed carefully in a pale blue gown, her hair pinned up, her nerves fluttering like butterflies in her chest. At the dinner table, all eyes turned when Jonathan proudly announced, "Our Olivia has found her voice." Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Olivia smiled shyly, then stood. For the first time in her life, she introduced herself. "Good evening. I'm Olivia Carver." Her voice quivered, but it was clear. Strong enough to carry across the long table. Applause erupted. Rachel wiped tears from her eyes. Jonathan sat tall, beaming with pride. Guests praised her, some even toasting her miracle. But just as Olivia sat down, pain shot through her chest. She doubled over slightly, gripping her side, her face paling. Rachel leaned in, panicked. "Are you all right?" Olivia forced a smile, whispering, "Yes, just a little tired." But inside, fear clawed at her. She could feel it, something was being drained from her every time she used her gift. That night, after the guests had gone, Olivia collapsed in her room. She clutched her throat, gasping, as her reflection in the mirror revealed those golden sparks in her eyes again, brighter than before. She fell to her knees, sobbing. "Why me?" she whispered hoarsely. In her dream that night, the woman appeared once more, clearer than ever. Her face was hidden, but her voice rang like iron. "You were given what you asked for. Now you must pay. Your voice comes at the cost of your strength. Each word drains you. Use it too much, and you will fade." Olivia woke screaming. This time, her parents rushed into her room, terrified. She clutched her mother's hand and finally confessed everything: the library, the hidden box, the glowing liquid, the warning. Jonathan was furious. "Why didn't you tell us sooner?" His voice boomed, but his fear was clear in his trembling hands. Rachel, pale and shaken, whispered, "She was desperate, Jonathan. You can't blame her. She only wanted to speak." Jonathan ran a hand through his hair, pacing. "We have to destroy it. That box, that vial, it's dangerous." But Olivia shook her head violently. "No." Her voice cracked with desperation. "If I lose this, I go back to silence. You don't know what that's like." Rachel pulled her close, tears streaming. "Sweetheart, silence is better than losing you." Olivia buried her face against her mother's shoulder, torn apart. For the first time, she had everything she had ever wanted. And now, she was being asked to choose, her voice, or her life. Olivia couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard the woman's warning echoing in her mind. Her throat ached, her body felt weaker than it should for someone her age, and yet, she couldn't bring herself to give up her voice. The following week, she tried to ration her words. She spoke only when absolutely necessary, answering her teachers briefly, greeting her parents at dinner, whispering small thanks when someone showed her kindness. But the world around her seemed brighter now that she could finally take part in it. Staying silent again felt like locking herself inside a cage. One afternoon, as she sat alone in the school courtyard, a younger girl approached her. She was crying, clutching her books to her chest after being teased by older students. Olivia's heart broke at the sight. Without thinking, she reached out and spoke gently. "Don't listen to them. You're stronger than their words." The girl's eyes widened. "Thank you. You don't know how much I needed that." As the girl walked away, Olivia felt her legs tremble. Her breath grew shallow, her vision darkened at the edges. She steadied herself against the bench, realizing the truth: even her kindness came at a cost. By the time she got home, her father was waiting in the study with the box placed on the desk. The vial was empty now, only the faint shimmer clinging to the glass. Jonathan's expression was stern. "This ends tonight. We're going to destroy it." Olivia's chest tightened. "No, Dad. Please. You don't understand." Rachel stood beside him, her face torn with grief. "Honey, we can't watch you wither away. Every word steals a piece of you. It's not worth it." Olivia's voice shook. "But this is the first time I've felt alive. The first time I've been more than just the girl who can't speak. Do you know what it's like to be invisible? To want so badly to be heard but never given the chance." Her words sliced through the room. Silence fell, heavy and raw. Jonathan's hands curled into fists, but his eyes glistened with tears he couldn't hold back. Rachel whispered, "We do understand, Olivia. But your life is worth more than any voice. Tears streamed down Olivia's cheeks. For a long moment, she stared at the empty vial, the parchment with its cruel warning. Then she reached for it, her hand trembling. She whispered to herself, "If I have to choose, then I'll make it matter." That night, Olivia did something neither of her parents expected. She walked into the town's community center during an open mic event. The room was filled with locals. Ordinary people sharing poetry, songs, and stories. When Olivia stepped onto the stage, murmurs spread. Everyone knew her as the girl who had never spoken. She gripped the microphone, her heart pounding. Her parents rushed in just as she began. "My name is Olivia Carver," she said, her voice soft but steady. "I was born without a voice. For years, I thought that meant I didn't matter. That I would always be invisible. But I've learned something. Words are powerful, but so is silence. And so is the choice to use whatever gift you have, voice or no voice, to make a difference." Gasps filled the room. Her parents froze, watching their daughter glow with a light they'd never seen before. Olivia continued, her body trembling from the effort. "If this is the last time I speak, then I want to say, thank you. Thank you for seeing me. For hearing me. For reminding me that even in silence, I was never truly alone." She stepped back, the crowd rising in thunderous applause, many wiping tears from their eyes. Olivia collapsed into her parents' arms, her strength nearly gone. Rachel held her tightly, whispering through sobs, "You were never invisible, sweetheart. Never." Jonathan, voice thick with emotion, said, "You've always mattered, Olivia. With or without a voice." That night marked a turning point. Olivia never fully lost her voice, but she learned to use it sparingly, carefully, saving her strength for moments that mattered most. She discovered that sometimes silence spoke louder than words, and her presence carried power no curse could ever take away. And though the box was buried deep in the earth where no one could find it again, Olivia carried its lesson with her. Miracles come with costs, but love, courage, and truth were worth more than any magic. In the end, Olivia's voice wasn't just the sound that left her lips. It was the way she touched lives, with or without words.